All right, everybody, welcome back to part 3 of the collection video. Let's try to knock this one out and not spend too much time like before. So it's a new day here, and I'm going to do this before I got to get to work. So, okay, let's see. We left off with the Sega Dreamcast games here, and the Dreamcast is one that, I remember seeing like some advertisements for this. I always wanted a Dreamcast really bad because, I mentioned that I went with the 64 for my console that generation when I really, wanted a Saturn, but I don't remember really seeing them much, at the time, Sega Saturn specifically in that generation, and had to, eventually I went with the 64 just because not so much of lack of options, but like I said, a lot of my friends had them. But I think it was after I got my 64, just shortly after, I became aware of the Sega Dreamcast and was like a little upset because, being such a big fan of the Genesis, I was like really wishing I could have gone with another Sega console. But I got one years later, used, many years later. I say many years, probably, 2004, something like that, maybe, so a handful of years after it, went out. I could still buy games for it. So yeah, my first game for it was Echo the Dolphin, of course, which I have a really bad phobia of deep water, and the old Echo games, that never bothered me, never dawned on me, because I guess it was 2D, but this one, to this day, I can't really play through this because I start getting like freaked out, very easily. But that was my first game. I tried playing a lot, and then over the years, I would go to sort of game stores when they were just regularly available. I guess a lot of them were liquidating them, so you could still find Dreamcast games everywhere. New, brand new sealed up games. You could just buy them new. I think shortly after that, I got the first Sonic Adventures right here, and I, eventually got Sonic 2. Space Channel 5 was one of my earlier games too, as well as Jet Grind Radio. I love the Dreamcast. I've always loved this console. I think it's so ahead of its time, but also like I kind of consider it to be the last just straight gaming console. Before games started becoming very cinematic, and they tried to blend different mediums together and all that. I think the Dreamcast was the last, because even like the PS2, GameCube, Xbox generation, everything started becoming very cinematic, so I kind of consider the Dreamcast, just to me, I consider the Dreamcast to be sort of the last just straightforward gaming console, arcadey and things like that. But so I have I guess a few games worth mentioning. This one here, Elemental Gimmick Gear, is one that I've had since years ago. This is one that I picked up at a game store back when I probably had 4 or 5 Dreamcast games. I just thought it looked interesting. I was trying out, like back then I would buy RPGs, and I was not very good at them. Never was. Jeez. I never was, but I was always interested in them, and that's what this is. It's an RPG, and this is one of those that, nobody brings this up that often. I think it's kind of a forgotten one. So I have Tekken 3, the Dreamcast game. I did a video on this. I streamed it years ago, like one of my earlier streams. On these, you put the disc in here, and there's a Tekken disc under this, Tekken 3 for PlayStation. And you put that in there, it starts up, and then it'll ask you to put in Tekken 3 disc. And basically, look, you can see on the left and the right the differences. And it actually does make a huge difference. It's like a much nicer looking version of Tekken 3, but you're actually playing on the disc, which is the PlayStation 1 disc, which is kind of nuts. Feet of Fury, some of these games I got from a buddy of mine. A lot of these were I bought from my buddy Dave, and the Mojo Menace crew and that's where these came from. This Feet of Fury games. This is like you see, this one's still sealed up. These were some homebrew games, homebrew like puzzle games from like the Goat Store people. All right, I think you can see down there. Yeah, see, it says Goat Store Publishing. If you guys aren't familiar with the Goat Store, it's a website and I think forum, but it was basically a shop you could buy games. It was it's crazy because we like I used the Goat Store, you know, years before I met those guys, and they knew, like, they're familiar with the guy who ran it. Because like when I went to MGC, Midwest Gaming Classic, a handful of years ago I went, you know, I think that I think it's the same crew who puts that together, but and the people I stayed with who do the podcast have just known it, and I guess they've known each other for a long time, whatever. But it's kind of strange because like I said, Leroy, my buddy, he used the Goat Store for just years and years before that, so it was kind of a funny little thing. But anyway, let's see here, and I think the same goes with these. These are the same deals, I believe. Like they're like homebrew games, but I don't know the full history on those. Let's see here. This is Jet Grind Radio. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This was one of my favorite purchases from way back in the day. This was one of the first games I got because I really wanted to have this, which was I remember paying like like $30-40 for this and being pissed off that it was so pricey. And now I think it's much more now. But Nightmare Creatures 2, you know, I really love the Nightmare Creature games. There's two of there's only two of them, but I really like that game on 64. And years later, I realized there was a sequel, and I bought this again at one of the game stores, and this one's really interesting. It's very 2000s edgy. I mean, it's got like you know, Rob Zombie music, and it's just weird. It's a fun game. They're very fun though. Sega Bass Fishing, Sega Marine Fishing, these are classics. I have the steering wheel, the fishing rod controller. Those are one of my favorites. Yeah, and probably Virtua Tennis is one that we constantly play. And here's another interesting thing. Here's the web browser, which you can find these like for like $1 anywhere. Like, these are so cheap. But I think in here I have a like burned. Yeah, see, I have a I have a burned. See this here? Excalibur web browser. This is like an updated web browser for your Dreamcast. So a handful of years ago, I got my Dreamcast up and running online. Now you can do that with a Raspberry Pi. It's very interesting. There's like this software you can get. You have to get this little device that you hook up your Ethernet cable to it, and that goes into your Dreamcast. And basically what it does is you have to hook it up. You can do it Wi-Fi even. You can even actually do this, but that runs into a Raspberry Pi that runs this program, and then that goes into your router, right? And basically what it does is it tricks your Dreamcast into thinking it's dialing up, because the Dreamcast ran on like a dial-up like modem, but you can run it off your current like modern internet. You know, you can, like I said, you can even do it Wi-Fi, which I didn't. I chose to do it hardwired, but it tricks your Dreamcast into thinking it's booting up, right? And so that's what I did, because I really wanted to play this Phantasy Star Online, the first one. And yes, you can do that, and yes, there are still people playing it like regularly. I believe there's actually a group website dedicated to scheduling days on the weekend stuff where they play Dreamcast together. They'll play Quake Online, which I have down here. I just don't have a case for it. Unreal. They'll play all types of games. I think they have like a first-person shooter Friday or something like that. But Phantasy Star, at all times, there would usually be a couple people on. But yeah, I would get on and play it. I didn't realize how little content was in that game. So, you know, I played it for a while, but I kind of lost interest after a bit. But anyway, okay, let's do this real quick. The PS4. So the PS4, I really do love this console. I think the PS4 is one of the best PlayStations. You know, it's up there with like the PS2. I've sort of steadily got quite a few games for this. You know, I got 2 shells here. I guess some noteworthy ones is like Blade Strangers is a weird one. This is a fighting game I was going to get into like heavy. It's very cool. See, that's a real sticker. It's strange, isn't it? Like, but it's super colorful, real pretty characters. You know, cute characters. It used like 2.5D graphics, so it had like, I remember the thing being like the hitbox or something were dynamic, which was really neat. But the really interesting thing about this was this is a new thing. This was the first, this was the generation that I really started noticing manuals not being a thing anymore. The PS3 it kind of started, but this one, like, you just never saw manuals, like booklets in the games, and I always hated that. I always really hated that. But in this game, like, this was a very indie game though, that's the thing. So they were trying to really spice it up, and it came with a this keychain of one of the characters, like a chibi version of one of the characters, pretty cute. And look at this, it came with a full colored manual. Let me see if I can flip through it. Look at that, full colored manual, moves list, all that. Pretty neat. And a lot of these are characters from different games. Like this one is from this fishing game, or not fishing game, it's like a puzzle game. You place a girl and she has to climb through puzzles using a fishing rod. This is from Gungrave, or not Gungrave, what is that game called? You guys probably know what I'm talking about. But also it has Isaac. You might notice Isaac is a playable character. So it's kind of a big crossover game from all these games that published by this company here, I suppose. But unfortunately, I was really wanting to get into this game. It looked great, and I was going to take it serious, and it was just one of those games that, like, day one, no one played it. Like, it was just, like, the first day at launch, I go online, and it was like, you just couldn't find a game. Like, nobody knew about it, and nobody fucking played it. So it was just another one of these weird fighting games that just immediately faded into obscurity, you know what I mean? So of course DOA 6, that was such a disappointment. DNF Duel, another fighting game that just was fun, and then I don't know, the anime fighters just get boring to me very quickly. So, you know, the Dragon's Quest Heroes was a fun game. This is like a Dynasty Warriors game. This is where I got really into Dynasty Warriors, was this. Like, I'd played other Dynasty Warriors games before, like the Gundam ones and the regular and all this, but this here was amazing. Like, I want to play that. I might play this weekend, actually. I miss playing this game, but this was such a sick game. This is one of the best Dynasty Warriors games right here. And yeah, I got really into them, you know, for a little while. I got the Mega Man collections. I thought those were pretty neat. Nitro Blast. Here's another one. This is another one of these weird fighting games, anime fighters, that just, I don't know. I mean, I know people play this one. Like, I've seen people play it and talk about it, but it's just another one when you go online, you can't find nobody. And I think, you know, sometimes I think a lot of that is just the region that I'm in. When I'm in Oklahoma, it's like, you know, I can find games of people nearby my region playing like Tekken and Street Fighter, but stuff like this, it's just nobody, I mean, I don't know, nobody's playing it, you know. Soulstorm, gotta have that Oddworld thing. I just bought this because I saw it on sale at the store and bought it for collecting purposes, just because I love Oddworld, you know. Here's an interesting thing. So this I owned when I heard the first Puyo Puyo Tetris was coming out. I was not convinced it was going to get a US release. Like, I was just like, lost hope that we'd get more Puyo games in the US. At that point, it had been a while since we got one, you know. I think maybe GameCube or something like that. But so I imported it way before it ever came out in the US. I want to say it was probably a good, at least a year or something like that. I mean, I had this for a while before this one ever came out. But yeah, that's one thing I like about the PS4 also, and I think most modern consoles are like this, that backwards compatibility, or not backwards compatibility, region lock is a thing of the past for a lot of these consoles. So I just bought this one. I was like, okay, I can navigate menus. It's a puzzle game. I don't need to read, you know. So I had this quite a while, and then finally this one came out, and I bought it because I could I could find games online, which on this one I think I found some games, but not many, you know. But I figured at the US version, more people in the country would be playing it, you know. Secret of Mana, that game is whatever. Let's see, down here I got this Street Fighter collection. That one's pretty neat if you don't have Fightcade, I guess, but it still is not great. Tearaway, this game is amazing. This is a fantastic game. I think another one I think people overlooked quite a bit. This game is great. It's made, I think it's done by the same people who did Little Big Planet. Yeah, see, it says right there. So like the first Little Big Planet, or first two Little Big Planets, whatever. But this has a really cool crafting world. Like everything is like crafting themed, and everything looks like construction paper or paint or crochet or whatever. And the cool thing about this game is you customize your character a lot. You can change how they look like crazy, but you can also, it's one of these games where I discovered that some modern games had apps that help like play the game, and on that app you can like take photographs and like upload your own stuff to the game. So like you could upload your own textures and all that stuff. So I was uploading all types of crazy stuff. I think my character was like smoking a blunt or something at one point. just stupid shit like that, you know. But it's a really fun 3D platformer. I might stream that soon. It's really good. I don't know if you guys remember this turtle game. It kind of, another thing that kind of faded, nobody talks about, but this is a great Turtles game. I think it was like done by the studio that did, yeah, Platinum Games. Yeah, there you go. It did like, was it Bayo and am I thinking of that right? I'm not sure. But it's a great game, is what I'm trying to say. A very fun Turtles game. One of the best, I think. Another cool one, Tokyo Xanadu. If you guys are getting into the Xanadu games. So this is, I got really into Ys games. In the past couple of years, I discovered how much I love the Ys series. I'm obsessed with it. Like, I think within like 6 months or something like that, I had played through every one of them, just about. I think I almost, with the exception of like maybe 2, I almost beat but never got to finish. I went crazy on the Ys games. But anyway, I know this isn't an Ys game, but it's a Falcom series who did Ys. The Xanadu series has been around for a long time, but Tokyo Xanadu kind of felt to me sort of like the prototype of Ys 8 gameplay. It's a fun game. It's very anime, you know, but it's just an action-adventure game, you know, action-adventure RPG game. It's really good. That's my favorite type of RPGs, are like the more action-oriented ones, you know what I mean? So that's a really good game. Tormented Souls. This is like a throwback PS2 era type survival horror game. I highly recommend this. It's very hard, but it's worth trying out. It's a great game. Got the Uncharted series. You know, let me tell you something. Uncharted 4 was the biggest pile of shit in the whole series. This game fucking sucked. I hated this one so much. But the Lost Legacy that came out afterwards is amazing. This one is fantastic. I actually really like this one a lot. It still has that stupid ass fucking Nathan's brother character that came out of nowhere. But it's not as big of a deal in this one, you know. But that's a great game. I highly recommend it. But skip 4. Let's see. Wolfenstein. I really love the new Wolfenstein games. Those are awesome. Those are crazier fuck, but they're very neat. When I first started playing the Wolfenstein, I was worried I wasn't gonna like it because he does this thing where he like whispers and talks, where he's just like, where he's saying shit just like, and then the Nazis came in and we had to fucking kill them. And I thought that shit was so annoying because it's like macho and stupid and all that shit. But then once you start getting to really sink your teeth into fucking up Nazis and shit and all this, it becomes way sicker, you know. And you just have to ignore him talking like, you know, this stupid ass the damaged soldier fucking trope, but which is whatever. But anyway, 2 gets crazy, but 2 is also really good. I like 2. I mean, he like essentially like teams up with like what is essentially like this like Black Panthers type group, and you know, it's fucking cool it's cool as shit, you know. Worms WMD, Yooka-Laylee, I got that. Of course, these 2 East games, this isn't open because it was a gift recently, and when I first played East I didn't have a physical copy, and Liz got me that for Christmas. Yeah, this game here, this is a first-person dungeon crawler game that is really neat. It's difficult though. It's kind of tough, but I got super into this game too. I highly recommend it, but it has this weird mechanic where your characters age very quickly, so they die a lot, and you have to resurrect them by spending certain things. So it's a very weird process game. It's very interesting. Once you get the hang of it, it's tough. It's a very tough game, but once you get the hang of it, this game is really good, and it has a lot of cool character interactivity and all that stuff, and you play as like every character too. It's pretty neat. Another thing I have is these 2 Sonic Mania Collector's Edition boxes for the game. When this first came out, I was really like super excited. The trailer when it got announced just blew my mind. I was so excited and couldn't believe that Sonic was getting another like Genesis style 2D game. That was really I don't know, I was so excited about that because I considered that to be like sort of this to be sort of like, you know, the golden age of Sonic. So I was really excited about that. So I went and you know, I don't pre-order stuff much, and I don't often get like collector's editions of anything because I just find it to be like I don't know, just stupid extra stuff to, you know, to make it more pricey, you know. But so I don't often do that, but this one I made an exception for. I thought the things that it came with were, you know, pretty cool. It come with this little golden ring and this like Sonic statue or whatever. But the reason I have 2 of them is actually because when I had ordered my first one, it didn't get in the mail like for several weeks, and then like I had put in that it didn't, you know, I ordered it I think from Amazon or something, and basically put in that it didn't show up. You know, there was an issue. It was like it was late by you know, quite a while, so they corrected the issue and they were gonna send me another one, and then after I got the one that went through, a couple days later the next one, the original one showed up. So it was sort of an accident, but I just figured, you know, well, I'll open one and I'll keep the other one sealed up, you know. So just one of those interesting little things. I really thought this was a fun little box. It had a lot of good stuff in it, and yeah, you know, I love the old Sonic games. They're sort of like comfort games, you know. So I was very happy about this, and it's also just one of the best. I think it's great. I just didn't like that. The only thing I don't like about it is Sonic reuses too many levels, and I like the new stages they put in this game, but I just wish that they were all new stages, you know. Sonic, I swear I've seen Green Hill Zone 10 times more than I'll ever need to in Sonic games. Like, they continue to reuse the same shit so much, you know. But other than that, it's a really good game. I think it's fantastic. So all right, that's the PS4 stuff. I think we'll cut this one here because you know, I gotta go to work and all that shit. But I'll come back with more videos, and I'll come back with more, and next is gonna be like the Atari. So all right guys, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time.